Hello everyone. My name is Ren. This channel introduces things you should know about Japan and Japanese people for those who are interested in Japanese culture and customs, and those who are thinking about traveling to Japan. I provide information unique to Japan, such as culture, food, art, lifestyle, and tourism. If you visit a shrine or temple in Japan on a weekend in November, you may see a scene like this. A child dressed in a kimono is accompanied by his parents to visit a shrine. This view can only be seen at this time of year. I don't remember it either, but I have some photos from that time in my photo album. Apparently when she was 3 years old, she would run around without listening to what she was told, and when she was 7 years old, she would throw a tantrum because she couldn't find a kimono in the color she liked. This event is called Shichi-go-san. It is a custom with a long history unique to Japan. So, today's theme is Shichi-go-san. Shichi-go-san is written in kanji like this. It literally represents the numbers 7, 5, and 3. Shichi-go-san literally means 7, 5, and 3-year-old of children. Shichi-go-san is a traditional event to celebrate the healthy growth of children as they turn 3, 5, and 7 years of age. This festival is for 3 and 5-year-old boys and 3 and 7-year-old girls. It is celebrated on November 15th, but since that day is not a national holiday, people choose a convenient day around that date to take photos and visit shrines and temples. At the shrine, the chief priest prays for each child's healthy growth. Children often wear traditional kimonos, and it is common for mothers to also wear kimonos and fathers to wear suits. The Shichi-go-san ceremony is said to have originated from a custom that has been held at the imperial court since the Heian period. During the Heian period, there was a custom of shaving a child's head on the 7th day after birth, and raising them with a completely shaved head until they were about 3 years old. It was believed that shaving the head and keeping it clean would prevent disease and that healthy hair would grow thereafter. Having hair would probably have caused various inconveniences, from a hygiene standpoint as well. Age 3, kamioki, haircutting. This was a ceremony held for both boys and girls when they reached the spring of their 3rd birthday. On this day, boys and girls would stop shaving their hair and begin to grow it out. Age 5, hakamaji, wearing hakama. During the Heian period, a hakama-wearing ceremony was held for boys between the ages of 5 and 7, during which they would don hakama, the formal attire of the time, for the first time. After this ceremony, in which boys donned hakama for the first time, they were said to have joined the ranks of boys and donned haori and hakama. Age 7, untying the obi. This is a ceremony where children stop using the attached cords that they used when putting on a kimono and start wearing an adult obi. During the Kamakura period, girls also held a coming-of-age ceremony in which they would remove the attached cords and tie on an obi for the first time. During the Muromachi period, this was officially established as the obitoki no gi, untying the obi. The obitoki no gi was originally held for both boys and girls at the age of 9. During the Edo period, just as the hakamaji no gi, putting on hakama, became an event for boys at the age of 5, the obitoki no gi, untying the obi, changed to be held for girls at the age of 7. Once a girl had undergone this obi untying ceremony, she was recognized as having begun her journey into adulthood. As a result, it became a custom to celebrate boys aged 3 and 5, and girls aged 3 and 7. However, in modern times, the original meaning of these ages has faded, and people now celebrate the milestones of development, such as understanding language at 3, gaining wisdom at 5, and losing their baby teeth at 7. The celebration of Shichi-go-san on November 15th was first recorded as an official event during the Edo period. On November 15, 1681, Tokugawa Tsunayoshi, the 5th shogun of the Edo shogunate, held a grand prayer for the health of his frail eldest son. From there, the custom of praying for the growth and health of children on November 15 spread to common people, and it is thought that this custom has evolved into its current form. Shichi-go-san Day, which spread among common people during the Edo period, took on its current form by the Meiji period, existing as a local custom in the Kanto region. After the war, Shichi-go-san events began to be held nationwide. On Shichi-go-san, children eat a long red and white stick candy, called chito-same. Origin of chito-same. It is said that it originated in the Edo period when a candy seller in Asakusa invented it as a souvenir for children attending shrine visits. In the past, it was common for children to become ill and die early, so long, stretched candy was made with the hope of longevity in mind, and it was sold under the name chito-same. The bags containing chito-same are decorated with auspicious images of longevity, such as the crane and turtle, and the pine, bamboo, and plum, and it is said that it is good to put as many candies in the bag as there are years in a person's life. Chito-same is a long, thin, red and white candy stick. It can be up to 1 m long and 15 mm thick. Chito-same is made to take advantage of the candy's ability to stretch indefinitely when stretched. For this reason, it is said to be a good way to wish for a long life and healthy, tenacious growth. The word chitos means 1,000 years or long years. Furthermore, chito-same's long, slender shape and ability to stretch indefinitely when pulled bring to mind images of long and thin and longevity, and the name chito-same is imbued with the message, long, thin, and tenacious, wishing for a long and healthy life. The paper bag that chito-same comes in features a colorful illustration. Just looking at the gorgeous design is sure to lift the spirits and get children and families excited. In fact, even these designs have meanings. The auspicious symbols that typically appear on chito-same bags are pine, bamboo, and plum or crane and turtle. Here, we'll explain the meanings behind the designs in detail. Pine, bamboo, and plum. The pine, bamboo, and plum, whose greenery and flowers remain undying even in the cold winter, have been revered in China since ancient times as mystical plants with strong vitality. During the Song dynasty, the set of pine, bamboo, and plum was known as the Three Friends of Winter, and was a popular subject for paintings. Pine, which remains green all year round, can live for decades or even centuries, and is therefore a symbol of longevity. Bamboo, which grows straight, takes root in the ground, and sends out new shoots, is a symbol of prosperity and fertility. Plum blossoms, which bloom and emit a rich fragrance even in the cold winter, are said to represent vitality and nobility. Crane and turtle. Crane and turtle have long been revered as auspicious animals symbolizing longevity. There's a saying celebrating longevity and auspicious events: a crane lives for 1,000 years, a turtle lives for 10,000 years. Because the crane's cry can carry far and wide, it's considered an auspicious bird whose voice can reach even the gods in heaven. Since ancient China, turtles have been said to be messengers of Mount Horai, a land of eternal youth and longevity where immortals live. The hexagonal pattern on their shells is also known as a symbol of good fortune. Until the age of 7 a child belongs to the gods. This saying has been passed down in Japan since ancient times. It means that children up to the age of 7 still belong to the realm of the gods. In their first few years of life, children were considered beings temporarily entrusted to the gods, and were considered so fragile that they could return to the gods at any time. In the past, medical technology, food shortages, and sanitation were poor, so children with weak immune systems were constantly on the brink of death, and many died of illness at a young age. This was seen as a way of returning the child to the gods. Many children were also sick or disabled, and as a result, problematic children were sometimes spirited away and culled, as a way of returning those who were entrusted to the gods. Because it was believed that children's souls easily left their bodies, various rites of passage were performed to keep the souls within the body. Because the mortality rate under the age of 7 was extremely high, the term, child of the gods, also implied a being close to death. It is said that viewing a child who died at age 7 as having returned to the gods also served to ease the grief of their bereaved families. Only at the age of 7 are children considered fully grown, and the Shichi-go-san ceremony, held at this time, celebrates a child's growth and expresses gratitude to the local deity for their safe growth. In Japan today, the probability of infant death before the age of 5 is around 4%, but a study estimating mortality rates during the Edo period found that 10 to 15% of births were stillborn, and when infant deaths are included, records show that out of 10 babies born, fewer than 7 survived to their 6th birthday, and only 5 or 6 lived to the age of 16. Most deaths were caused by infectious diseases. In the Edo period, infant mortality was high, so women needed to have at least 4, and ideally 5, children to pass on their family lineage and maintain the population size of their villages. In the 17th century, when the population was growing, women generally gave birth to 5 or 6 children. While this varied by era, region, and social class, the infant mortality rate during the Edo period was incomparably higher than it is today, in urban and rural areas, among townspeople, samurai, and even daimyo. For people of the Edo period, children were always close to death, and their safe growth was dependent on some greater power beyond human control. Speaking of having many children, the Tokugawa shoguns of the Edo period are famous. Tokugawa Ienari, the 11th shogun of the Edo period, had 40 concubines and gave birth to 55 children, but 34 of them died before the age of 2. Tokugawa Yayoshi, who succeeded Tokugawa Ienari, was in a similar situation. Tokugawa Yayoshi had 1 wife and 7 concubines, and 27 children, 14 boys and 13 girls. However, only 4 of his children survived infancy, and only 1 reached adulthood. In other words, the mortality rate before infancy was 86%. The only one of these to survive was Tokugawa Ieyasu. Tokugawa Ieyasu was born as the 4th son of a concubine and was extremely sickly. Naturally, with Ieyasu's frequent illnesses, it was unlikely that he would ever become shogun. However, Ieyasu ended up becoming the 13th shogun for a simple reason. His other siblings died young, one after the other. What's more, the death rate was unimaginable in modern times, with over 20 deaths, both men and women. After the death of his father, Yayoshi, Tokugawa Ieyasu became shogun at the age of 29. However, Ieyasu's first wives died one after the other. The search for a princess proved difficult, and finally the Shimazu clan was chosen. Atsuhime was chosen as the bride, as they wanted a strong Shimazu princess. Atsuhime is the most popular woman to appear in the Edo period. Atsuhime headed to Edo, where she was initially educated at a Satsuma clan residence. She was then adopted by a noble family, and after graduating, she entered Edo Castle, where Ieyasu was waiting for her. The person who arranged all of these preparations was Seigo Takamori, a hero of the late Edo period. All the actors from the end of the Edo period have appeared. This is where it gets interesting. This is a story about the end of the Edo period, which I love, but I'll stop here as it's off topic. In the end, Ieyasu was too sickly to have children and died less than 2 years after his marriage to Atsuhime. With such a survival rate even for the shogun's children, it was even more difficult for a child to survive in a commoner's household. Surviving to the age of 7 was considered a matter of relying on God. If the child survived until the age of 7, their name would be registered in the family register for the first time. At that time, family registers were managed by local shrines and temples, so when a child turned 7, a prayer was held at the shrine and their name would be registered in the family register. The age for Shichi-go-san is counted using a method called counted age. Therefore, the child's age is 1 to 2 years older than their actual full age. When it comes to counting age, a method known as counted age was widely used in East Asia. This method originated in China, where the day of birth is counted as 1 year old, and one age increases with the arrival of January 1st. This method makes a person 1 to 2 years older than Western ages. Furthermore, as an extreme example, if someone was born on December 31st, they would be 1 year old at that time, and would become 2 years older the following day, January 1st, in just 2 days. On the other hand, full age, the method widely used around the world, counts age as 0 years old at birth, and age increases with each birthday. Of course, most countries have now transitioned to full age. In Japan, full age counting has officially become the norm since the Meiji period. However, the East Asian method of counting age is still used for certain traditional events such as milestone ages and unlucky years. Even in the case of Shichi-go-san, it was originally celebrated using the counted age system, meaning that the ceremony was held at the ages of 6, 4, and 2, which would be the child's current full ages. Nowadays, whether to use age based on the Japanese counting system or full age seems to be decided based on the convenience of parents, such as the child's developmental stage and the age difference between the child and other siblings. Today we've talked about Shichi-go-san, a historic custom unique to Japan that prays for the growth of children. If you're in Japan in early November, be sure to visit a shrine on the weekend. You're likely to see families with young children dressed in kimono. Thank you for today.